Hello Larson family and welcome to our virtual Veterans Day Assembly. I'm Mark Spacone, Assistant Principal at Larson Middle School. Today we're going to learn about Veterans Day and why we observe it. We're also going to hear from one of our favorite veterans on staff here at Larson Middle School, Mr. Jones. Finally, we're going to take a moment to honor those who have served our country. So, what is Veterans Day and why do we observe it?
Greetings, my name's Mr. B. Today we're going to talk about Veterans Day, since today is Veterans Day, November 11th. It all started back at the end of World War I on November 11th of 1918. Now, some of you might be a little bit confused if you're a history buff and go, well, wait a minute, World War I actually ended after the Treaty of Versailles was signed in June of 1918. Well, the treaty may have signed, but the battles were still going. In this picture on my screen, you'll see that this was the last picture taken of a battle, and it's with the 353rd Infantry Unit in France on November 11th of 1918. President Wilson declared this as Armistice Day. His words were, "To us in America, the reflections of Armistice Day will be filled with solemn pride in the heroism of those who died in the country's service, and with gratitude for the victory, both because of the thing from which it has freed us and because of the opportunity it has given America to show her sympathy with peace and justice in the councils of the nations." At the end of World War I, that was the only war that was fought. Armistice Day was in place, signed into law that it was a federal holiday, and it was to be celebrated and observed with parades and public meetings, a brief suspension of businesses beginning at 11 a.m. When World War II broke out and ended, President Eisenhower then changed the wording of it to strike it from Armistice Day to Veterans Day, and was then designated as the official day for veterans. Now, briefly, Veterans Day and Memorial Day are two very separate days. That's why we have them on different times of the year. Veterans Day celebrates those who have served and are serving, currently alive. Memorial Day is to honor those who served and gave the ultimate sacrifice while serving their country. That's the difference between Memorial Day and Veterans Day. Now, Veterans Day under President Eisenhower was declared, stating that we should celebrate, just like President Wilson said, with all kinds of parades, public acknowledgement, you name it, and a suspension of businesses at 11 a.m. Now we just enjoy the fact that we have Veterans Day to remember those who served and are serving around the world, regardless of which branch of service they are. Many of you are probably affected by it and don't even realize that you might have a veteran in your family. But reach out, seek out, and find those who did and say thank you. I'm Mr. Bureau, and I'm a veteran. Have a great day.
Thank you, Mr. B, for sharing that with us. Now we're going to hear from Mr. Jones, our Dean's Assistant, as he reflects and shares on his experience in the service.
My name is Terry Jones. When I graduated from high school, I wasn't ready to go to college, so I decided I wanted to go into the Marine Corps. And I chose the Marine Corps because I liked the uniforms, the dress blue uniform, looked real nice. And plus, that was a free ticket to California. And I told a recruiter if I couldn't go to basic training to California, I wasn't going in. And I wasn't going to South Carolina, so I ended up going to California. So that's how I got in there. It was a lot of us in basic training, and just not too long ago, when I was moving, I found a picture of my company. I realized that company was so big, and what really got me through it was 6 of us from our hometown was in the same platoon. And the guys I grew up with, went to high school with, so that kind of carried me through where you didn't get so lonely, missing home, being away from home at such a young age, 18 years old. But we got through it and went on our way. And then after basic training, we all went to our different duty stations. I was an infantryman. I was in the infantry. Infantry was the one to go out and be the first one to hit the beach in a war conflict. So most of my training was out in the field, learning how to fight. Running through the hills of California. I know every hill out there. Day and night. It didn't matter when it was raining. The first time it started raining, I thought we were gonna go in, but that was just a fantasy. We stayed out there in the rain. It doesn't matter, and we just learned how to fight, in the terrain, different training. Okay. First conflict was the Cuban crisis. This is where John F. Kennedy was the president at the time, and Russia had missile bases in our hemisphere in the Caribbean. And at that time, Kennedy told Nikita Khrushchev that if he didn't get those missile bases, dismantle them out of our country, hemisphere, we would go to war. Well, he dismantled them. We didn't have to go to war, but we were waiting out in the Caribbean on ships of thousands of us, soldiers, all branches, for about 90 days on the ships. We lived on the ship at night waiting to see what the conflict, what the consequence was going to be. And we ended up not going to war with Russia, but we ended up going to different countries. So later on, as you know, the Vietnam crisis, and everybody know about that, started beginning. And I didn't really like that situation because it was a political war, and I wasn't too excited about going to Vietnam. But a lot of the guys in different branches was excited about going to the Nam. But we were losing a lot of soldiers. But for the reasons, we had started out as trainers and advisors to the Vietnamese to teach them how to fight a war. And then that's all we were supposed to have been doing, but American soldiers started getting killed. So we just basically took the war over for them, and ended up, that's how, but it was political, and it was just too much, and I didn't really care for it. But my battalion, when I was overseas, we got shipped to Saigon. We didn't ever hit the beach. I never did see any combat, but for some reason we didn't have to go, and we ended up going back to our home base, which was Okinawa. But we were still in a ready position in case they needed us, and call our battalion. We was always ready to go. But I wasn't too fond in that war because of the reason why we were there. And you just had to be there, be in that era to understand why, While I was serving, I got a little, I faced some racial conflict while I was in the Marine Corps. I wasn't really accustomed to from where I came from, because where I came from, the schools and things I went to was interracial. I never had, I just never experienced something to that extreme. And I thought by being in the service that everybody was just one, brotherly love. But like I said, I faced it, and I didn't like it. I was young and hot-headed, and kind of got myself into a little trouble behind it. But I kind of bounced back and redeemed myself for it, But about the war, the conflict, we got a lot of heat coming back. When you come back to the States, we got a lot of heat on the Vietnam War, and they were calling us baby killers and things like that, and that was kind of, I didn't understand it, even though, like I said, I didn't see any combat, but the other guys, here we serving our country and trying to protect the freedom, and got treated that way, So at one time, we were able to proudly wear uniforms out, in the public. But after the Vietnam War thing was going on, they asked us not to wear a uniform for that reason, because people wasn't liking us being over there, and they said killing babies, and we weren't really doing that. Well, my sister, I had an older sister who's not with us anymore. The good Lord decided that He wanted her, instead of she'd stand with us. She used to write me all the time when I first went in the Marine Corps, and she would keep me posted on what was going on with the family, and that kind of made me feel good. It make took some of that loneliness away, homesickness, I guess. Yeah.
There's power in writing, isn't there?
Yeah, power in writing. She always wrote me, and I had kind of looked forward to living a life with her, but like I said, the good Lord took her away. After I got out of service, well, when I came back, when I did my tour overseas, and I got reassigned down to North Carolina, and I did my time there, and then I got discharged. I wanted to kind of stay in. I wanted to be alive. I like the military. I like being in the Marine Corps. But I wasn't going to stay in because I knew that if I re-enlisted, that they were going to send me back over to Vietnam. And I wasn't buying it at the time, so I went on and got out. Back then, jobs was plentiful. You can move anywhere you wanted to. You could quit a job today and walk into another job tomorrow. And moved around different and come back home and moved to different cities for a while until I finally got settled. And then in 1985, I joined the Army. After 19 years of in between, I decided to go to the Army. And I joined the Army Reserve, and I spent 18 years in the Army Reserve, and 4 years in the Marine Corps. And why? I liked it, I liked military, like I said before. But I spent 18 years. The only reason why I got out of there, I got too old. At 60 years old, you had to go. So I did 18 years, and it all benefited me. I was able to combine the two military, Marine Corps and the Army together, and come out with a certificate of retirement out of the Army, and benefited the for insurance and housing and a pension. I think on a daily basis or whatever, you see a older gentleman or even a female, just thank them for the service. Not just wait on Veterans Day and for that, because there are veterans 365 days a year, not just that one day. And so, and they served their time. Some of them paid their dues. Some paid their dues by living. Some paid their dues by dying. And let me say something about the dying part. I had the experience. If you never had the experience, go to Washington D.C. and see the wall, the Vietnam Wall. And the first time I saw that wall, I stood there and started crying, because of all the names on that wall. There was somebody's father, somebody's grandfather, uncle, aunt, mother. They're on there, and all of them, have served the country and lost their lives on that wall. And I think that's a very, very honorable thing to see that wall and to say that these people died. And I could have been on that wall, but the good Lord had better plans, so. Well, I want to add that young people that have no desire to go on to college when they get out of high school, I think the first step would be try the service, try the military. I think they would enjoy it. I encouraged my oldest son, back when he was young, to go to the Army. He did, and he liked it. It's memorable. You make some friends. There's some memorable things that you always have in your mind. And there's something that you can witness and testify to, that I did this. Because sometimes if you don't go into service, and later on as you get older, you wish you might have had. So if the opportunity comes and you don't want to go on to school, try the service if you can't get a job out here.
Thank you, Mr. Jones, for your service and for sharing your stories with us.
Happy Veterans Day. To all of you that know of a veteran, have a veteran in their family, have somebody who is active duty right now, please thank them for their time, their service, and most of all, their sacrifice. They are sacrificing their time. They're sacrificing their time with family and friends, and some of them are sacrificing their life. So please wish them a happy Veterans Day.